Welcome back to Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones. Last time, after being done with our bandit infestation, we realized we have a zombie infestation. Great. This time, we'll be continuing along the road and heading out to the village of Seraphiu, and one of my favorite chapters in the game, at least early on. And it's not just because we're about to meet one of my favorite characters. Anyway, I'm going to go into manage items for a second here. Yeah, that iron axe. I'm going to give that to Ross, because soon Ross will be able to make good use of that. And you're fine. I don't think we really need the pure water here. Might need that next chapter, but not just yet. And as far as everyone else goes... Okay, the elixir right here. I'm going to trade that to Ross, swapping out one of his vulneraries, because Ross has a combination of high HP but low defense. So that elixir can really help in that regard. Does anyone have a spare? Okay, if I'm not really... Actually, Mulder has two of those. I'm going to give Lute a second one, just in case she needs it. And with that, we're pretty much done here. Let's head out to the village. And as we can see here... Yeah, there's a zombie problem all over the map. This is not going to be good going ahead. Bad things have happened to this continent. So we have a border town, and an Armor Knight boss standing on it. And how ironic that it's now a bastion for a battle force. And getting straight to the point here. I've been looking forward to this chapter. It is one of my favorites. And we start out by seeing one of my favorite characters, this guy. And he mentions there's an arena in town. Oh boy, yeah, I'm going to talk about that once we get to it. Unfortunately, this guy's in enemy colors for the time being. And he's trying to hit on a nun. That's probably not going to end well for you. And rejected. This guy's name is not one of those names that I always find funny. Captain Sar. And his name is only one letter off being a broken wyvern lord from Radiant Dawn. But we remember this guy, Glenn, from back in that Meanwhile in Villain Land scene. He's been tasked with hunting down Erica directly. But he's going to push that job onto a subordinate here. I still find it weird that they all say place her in custody, and yet Erica's defeat quote pretty much heavily implies she dies. The traitor is a girl, huh? Well, that's pretty obvious who that is. I thought you were supposed to be one of the nicer generals. Really. And in this case, they're not going for capturing her alive. But he does still seem to be having his doubts. And we have someone else with a unique portrait here, wearing similar armor, and it's this guy's brother. And we have a name for him. So, yeah, we'll probably be seeing more of him later. Meanwhile, we're here at the village, but we don't have the Ships and Homes song. I just really like that song from FE7. It's pretty much the town theme to me. But yeah, there's a lot of tragedy here. The fact this used to be a place where citizens of both countries could live in peace, and now it's just a border bastion. Well, not heavily patrolled for now. That will probably change. I mean, we are passing through it after all. And yet more cameos of people with unique portraits. This guy also may or may not become important later. And this line right here, I just can't help but see Silent Hill references in this now. I have to find her. And he's gone. Yes, there was. He had a unique portrait. And speaking of Grotto spies... You're certainly moving very, very far for a single turn. Well, the three good generals seem to already know this, but everyone else is a bit stupid and not really realized. She hasn't actually offered any resistance yet, but they're gonna go for it anyway. Yeah, this does seem very strange. But it looks like we'll be getting another healer. Well, I guess if we're from Renee, then she's our ally. Unfortunately, she won't be able to tell us this very, very important information because we've got a battle first. And we're also going to be interrupted by Ross. Because, yeah, this is what happens when a trainee reaches level 10. The next battle you enter, whether it be a main chapter or a skirmish, which we'll be seeing later, they will get this screen. They will automatically have a choice of promotion. So we have the choice of fighter or pirate, and as I hinted in his bio, I'm obviously going to be going pirate. Insert lazy town joke here. I got ripped in 10 levels thanks to the hatchet! Yeah. So Ross is now a pirate. Again, cue lazy town jokes. He usually has at least 6 speed for me at this point, but 5 will do. He's got a lot more defense than he usually has for me as well. So you might notice Natasha is already in our party, but she's a forced deployment here. I'll be talking about her once we get to the actual map, but I want to do something in manage items. As much as having 2 healers is actually going to be useful here, there's a few people that I want to bring here, and it might preclude me from using Mulder. So for that reason, I'm going to switch Mulder's heal staff over to Natasha. And speaking of which, I kind of want Colum here. Oh yeah, I also want loot, so someone's going to have to go for loot, and I'm sorry. I normally use Arthur, but I just don't really have enough room this time. So yeah, I'm going to use loot here and make sure she gets a little bit of experience. Colum I'm bringing because I want to try and get him a few points of speed. And he's going to be useful in the next chapter anyway. So, let's go to the map. This is our first town chapter. These houses with red roofs count as villages. Now, none of the enemies on the map at the moment can destroy them, but that will change. There is a special reward that you get in this chapter for visiting all 4 villages, so bear that in mind. The enemies here aren't particularly tough, they all just have basic iron weapons. Nothing really to write home about, although the boss does have a javelin. We already kind of knew his loyalty was unshakable, but anyway. I'm pretty sure he doesn't move, though. So, I have to go to formation to switch everyone around. Vanessa I like being over here. Ross is going to start here because I like him taking on this side. You're fine. I think France will go there. Gilliam, yeah, Gilliam can be useful here. I'm gonna switch you over that way. I suppose I can have Luke go there. So Seth I'm gonna send basically up to this village. Usually either him or Vanessa reaches that, depending on how many archers are alive at a certain point. And that should be alright. Vanessa's gonna really put in work here. She's gonna be visiting a lot of the villages. I also normally Well, when I first played this, I used to always strip Seth's inventory to do a certain something. I've recently found out, though, that is not necessary at all. You'll see why once we start, so let's begin. Yep, we've got this guy back again. Still an enemy, sadly. And we're about to see some dialogue that is very blatantly a tutorial. There's a lot of dialogue in Sacred Stones like this, where characters are pretty much directly discussing gameplay mechanics. So here, yeah, the arena, you can train there, and you're risking your life there, i.e. people who die in the arena do die for good, and you can earn gold. I am reporting you to the captain for arena abuse. So, at least he's just a mercenary of the enemy. I don't normally ever let the rest of this song play out, so that's interesting. The enemy phase usually isn't long enough for you to hear that. And here's another blatant tutorial. So it should be obvious that we're going to have our first enemy recruitment here. Again on easy, it's been a long time since I've played this far on easy, but I'm pretty sure that this is absolutely forced on easy mode. Anyway, I'm just still going to equip the... Yeah, I can just still equip the hatchet here. This guy's still going to die anyway. This guy here being an axe user, I don't want to go all the way up there though, because that means I get shot by that archer. So I'm going to have Erica positioned here to lure him in. Now, pay attention to this guy's movement range. While there is a decent way to get to him without any risk, there's a certain someone who needs to go into his movement range and no one else ever should. Because then he will attack them, and that killing edge is pretty deadly. Hence why I usually like using unarmed Seth here until I realize it wasn't necessary. So, right. If I want to lure that fighter, I'm going to have Franz equip a sword, which means Franz will suffer more damage from that guy, but a lot of the enemies here will move up on their own, but I like to start luring a couple of them from the get-go, because soon things are going to get a little bit more hectic on this side. Let's just say there are reinforcements in this chapter. And there's nothing really stopping Vanessa from going here. So let's visit the first village. And yet another cameo by someone with a unique portrait. I wonder what that implies. And it's a village, so obviously we're going to get an item. Yes, I wonder why he would have given you gifts. Perhaps we will. And with that, we get a Dragon Shield, or Draco Shield, as they're known in some games. It boosts defense by 2. I have this habit of hoarding stat boosters when it comes to Fire Emblem games until the very end. I might need to drop that at some point here, because I often end up having to give Ross a speed wing. In fact, I probably will in this playthrough, because he's getting a little bit speed screwed. Now, Luke can go here. I want to leave her flexible to either finish that guy off or finish some people Franz weakens off. And Seth is going to just stay behind Ross. His main job is to get to one of these villages. There's also an armory up there that sells some pretty decent stuff, and a shop down here that does not sell decent stuff. Are you going to double him? Thank you! Okay, that's actually very, very good. That's one less enemy I need to worry about. Sometimes that guy, I think, has enough speed that Franz doesn't double him. One less enemy now is a very, very good thing, because later... This is probably 2 less enemies, actually. Nice one. These soldiers are pretty much going to get doubled by anyone. Their speed is terrible, even on hard mode. But this is going to help clear the way. That was a weird level up. A very weird level up. Another soldier's coming. And let's see if Ross... Okay, good, he didn't get hit. Depending on how often Ross gets hit here, I might have to resort to using some of his healing items. He can usually handle most of these enemies. And you there. For some reason, Erica loves... She didn't get hit that time. Yeah, I've attended this chapter before. Okay, good thing I put Lou on the other side. Well, in a position where she can get to the other side, because Lou now no longer needs to finish off that guy. And just when you thought we were done with bandits, yeah, they're still a problem. They're generic ones this time, though. So, these guys will try and destroy the villages. So obviously, if you haven't rescued this one yet, they're going to be in a pretty good position to smash it. And let's see, okay, there's a soldier up there. fact, here, I can either try roadblocking them with Gilliam or with Franz here. Fun thing to do is that I can sometimes have Colum roadblock, or even Vanessa. I've had to roadblock these two with Vanessa at least one point. She can survive one attack from them, so it's generally fine. But Colum, I don't like having him make the first move here, because if he gets unlucky and he gets hit here and then hit on the enemy phase, he will obviously die. So I'm just going to leave Colum there. And let's see. You know, I might actually need to use Vanessa to... Actually, no, wait, I'm going to roadblock with Franz. What am I talking about? As long as Gilliam goes there, I should be safe having... And this is why I like to trade the heal staff, because Natasha does begin with a men staff, but it is kind of overkill for small amounts of HP, and you want to save it for larger wounds. Speaking of which, Natasha. Natasha is our second healer, and for the time being, her role is not that different from Mulder's, apart from starting with a men's staff rather than heal. There are times when having two healers on the field is very useful, especially in maps where you want to split up the team. So you might find yourself using both of them in certain situations. Natasha's main differences from Mulder become apparent as she levels up. She'll start gaining a lot of magic, luck, and resistance. Her magic base is really, really low at 2 though, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they made it that low, but it will grow very quickly. Her speed growth is kind of average, but her base is decent, and it eventually ends up pretty good. Her skill, though, is terrible. Now, light magic is fairly accurate, so it's not that big of a deal, but eventually you might start seeing accuracy issues with her. I usually maintain that skill is one of the least important stats in Fire Emblem, but if it's this low, it really does become an issue. Additionally, Natasha's constitution is a lot lower than Mulder's, so she won't be able to double effectively with heavier tomes, but she will hit more consistently hard with lighter ones. Defensively, she's incredibly fragile, but her resistance will eventually get so high she's practically immune to magic. That is one major thing she has over Mulder. She only starts with a D rank in staves, but thankfully this is enough to use a certain staff that's going to be very useful in Chapter 6. You'll definitely be seeing how much that helps. One thing that I also want to note about Natasha is that while Ice Affinity isn't amazing, Natasha has a lot of very strong support partners. Most of them have better things to do than babysitting a healer, but I find supports are one of her strengths. Cleric's promotion choices are slightly different to Priest. They still have Bishop, but instead of Sage, they get Valkyrie. Valkyrie has been changed from FE7, it's now a light magic class. Now, normally when characters have access to one mounted option and one foot option, I find the mounted one vastly superior. This is one of the few cases where I think the on-foot option gives competition, because Slayer is just that good. Not counting bonus characters, Natasha is the last one we get who has access to Slayer. They just gave us all of them at the start. Valkyrie does have higher constitution and movement, which are definitely amazing, and it is a very, very good option. Although, admittedly, having access to a mounted class is one thing that's unique to Natasha compared to Mulder and Arthur, our other two potential Slayer users, so that might also be reason enough to promote her to Valkyrie. Still though, Slayer is so amazing, and in the post-game, having 3 Slayer users might be a good idea. So, that's Natasha. Yeah, these bandits tend to have better... I completely forgot this guy had a unique portrait! Huh, and it's Carcino territories, huh? I completely forgot this guy was effectively a boss in all the times that I played this chapter recently. I never realized. That's really, really weird. Huh. Kind of means this guy's a bit like Natasha from Path of Radiance, although nowhere near as awesome. Okay, now as for these two... I'm just gonna javelin snipe one of them. Hey, she hit. Doesn't really matter if she didn't, but still. Just a little bit of extra damage. That was pretty good. Last time I attempted this, she gained strength, but that's still very good. Now, Ross is going to go here, get on this forest, and I'm pretty sure he'll be okay for hatcheting this guy. I like to lure the other archer into attacking Ross and taking a little bit of damage. But Ross got hit there. I may need to heal him later. Yeah, that archer, I'm going to wait until he attacks Ross. You know, I think I might need loot over here. I like to get loot to around level 5 in this chapter. I think I can safely have Erica go over here too. And right. I've noticed the enemies here, they, like in some Fire Emblem games, they prioritize attacking people who can't counter, so here the archers would go for Seth and not get hurt by Ross and counterattacks. But here I find they tend to just go for the lowest defense value. I still can't believe I never realized this guy had a unique portrait for so long. There's actually another case of and this is why I didn't have Colum attack on my turn, another case of a bandit named Bandit in this game, but he's unused. Now, the stat that I really want here is speed, obviously. And I got it. Okay, that's fine. Actually, that was amazing. That was almost a perfect level up, actually. But really all I cared about there is speed. Makes stealing things later on a little easier. And you are a perfect experience for loose. Let's see what these archers do. Yeah, they're going for Ross. I thought they would. Okay, good dodge there. Let's see what the other archer does. Like I said, I might need to heal Ross here because that fighter hits him pretty hard. Nice dodge there. And hey, you reduced him to less than half HP. So, the fighter does 10 damage if I'm in the woods. That archer does 5. Yeah, Ross is going to survive, unless he misses this guy. If he does, I'm going to have Seth kill the fighter. Thank you, though, you didn't miss. The hatchet's great accuracy makes it a pretty good weapon overall, even after Ross promotes now. Please, speed. Skill is not bad, but I would appreciate some speed. And I'm just... You know... I could move Seth here just to stop that guy from attacking from the woods. I'm going to go ahead and do that, actually. Now, let's see who Luke can reliably kill here. That archer, though... I mean, if Luke gets attacked by just that archer, she'll be fine. But if she gets attacked by that archer and someone else, she will obviously not be fine. Yeah, that guy's not going to be dying to loot anytime soon. Let's just have Luke finish this guy off. I always thought that soldier shields in this game looked like steel pot lids. Which, considering how ill-equipped soldiers tend to be in this game, is probably true. Ah, that's actually not a good thing, because if you die on the enemy phase, that means this guy can attack you, and like I said, that's not good. And there's also that archer, who thankfully can't reach Vanessa. Once he's gone, I think I'll be able to reach that village safely, but for now, I actually... Okay, I might need to have Natasha heal somebody over here. Or... Okay, slight idea here. This is pretty much all I end up using Colum for in this entire chapter. I just wanted him to get that one level. Okay, that's a risk of taking damage. I don't like using the rapier here, but if it means that there's no risk of her taking damage, I'm gonna go for it. Okay, and now, let's see what happens. He's gonna go for Erica, and then she'll double and kill him. That's, I mean, it's not terrible, but I'd like for Luke to get some kills here. And I know that Natasha is in range of this archer, which is why I'm planning on, let's see, actually going to send Franz back one, just so that Natasha is closer to a certain someone that she needs to be close to. Yeah, this should be fine. Vanessa will be able to do her job next turn. Probably. Okay, that's fine. I wonder if... no, he's not going to quite get a second level up here. And I thought you'd go for Erica. And she will kill you. Oh, wow, she didn't even... She didn't double. That's actually really sad. And Ross did not double either. I thought you'd do that. Please tell me this guy doesn't double loot. He probably doesn't. Good, he doesn't. Okay, that's fine. I should have probably checked that. Let me just see if you're anywhere near close. 6 speed. Loot has 8. Yeah, you wouldn't have doubled. And loot cannot finish you off. But you can finish off that guy who's kind of a boss, even though he really isn't. Do have to watch out a little bit for you. Especially you, but there's also you. Okay, I'm just gonna go attack this guy with Franz. Then Loot will finish that guy who's kind of a boss, even though he isn't. And with that archer gone, and with none of you in range of this house, Vanessa can fly up here and visit this house now. And finally, a generic portrait. Once again, implying some pretty disturbing stuff for an E-rated game. And we get an Armor Slayer. Obviously good at slaying things in armor. And it just so happens that we're about to get someone who can make quite effective use of that. At this point, anyway. Okay, good. I didn't eat my words, and she is actually going to kill this guy. Goodbye, generic bandit who's actually kind of a boss. And yeah, obviously no boss bonus, because if it was, she would have leveled up from that. Okay, after that guy's lured down, because I will want to do that as soon as I can. Well, I mean, Gilliam needs very, very slight healing. So I guess I can have her go here. Because there are going to be more reinforcements soon, and I like to have a certain something done before they arrive, because it makes fighting them much easier. Gilliam will just go around here. I mean, he tends to not do much in this chapter after this point for me. Unless I'm actually training him, in which case he obviously does. This guy, though, I do not like this guy. This guy is bad news for Ross. Massive difference in accuracy there. And that space is safe from the mercenary, which is good. Thank you for hitting, but Seth was here to pick up the slack in case you didn't. And another chance at speed, maybe? Not really. I mean, those level ups are not bad, though, so I'll take it, but... That's speed, though. Depending on how things go, I might have to Seth that guy. In fact, I'm just gonna Seth that guy, just to make things faster. Because Ross is not taking him on one-on-one. I mean, Ross will survive if he's fully healed, but... And Ross has such high luck that often mercenaries have a tendency to get low percent crits on you. Ross's luck is so high that he can generally negate the chance of a low percent crit, but still... Oh wow, Seth didn't one round that guy. But yeah, just to demonstrate this, he doubles and has a pretty high chance of hitting. Although, if I get very lucky with Ross here, and I do mean very lucky, hey, I did get lucky, good. That actually wasn't so bad. That guy, though, I want Ross to fight. So I'll just get into position. Pretty much got that house locked down, and speaking of things that I have locked down, this guy needs to go. Ah, I hate it when that happens. Ah, that's annoying. That is very, very annoying. because I want to make sure that nobody other than Natasha is in that guy's range, because if they are, then he's going to try and attack them. And that will not, well, it'll mean that he might end up getting damaged a bit. This is crazy, but it could work. Okay, it did work. Right, that guy's set up for loot now. And... okay, I've got a slight idea. Yeah, I'm sure she'll have enough movement. If I move Franz just out of his range, like here, and then I have her go here. 5. Yeah, she can get to him just fine. There is that guy, though. I will need to get rid of him. Actually... oh, and then Francis has his way blocked by that guy. Gilliam will just go and hide in the corner so he's not in the way of anyone else. Erica will move so that Luke can come in and kill this guy. There we go. Let's see how this level up is. It will probably include magic. Oh, hey, magic and speed. That's pretty much the only stat she needs. Okay, yeah, that's good. Franz can go around and lure that guy now. Though I might need him back here shortly. And just use this just in case. And I have pretty obviously hinted at this, but as long as she's out of range of them, and I don't put anyone else in his range, then he will not do anything. Because this guy does not have Mathis Syndrome, thankfully. Mathis Syndrome is a term that people who've played the Fire Emblem games have coined. It's named after Mathis from Shadow Dragon, who... and yeah, those are the reinforcements I was talking about, but they came at the perfect time. It's named after Mathis from Shadow Dragon, who could attack and kill his own sister Lena, who's the one who recruits him. Despite the fact that his entire motivation is that he's searching for her. Thankfully, the recruitable enemies in the Game Boy Advance games tend to be programmed a lot better. They usually won't attack the person who recruits them. In this case, Joshua will not try and attack Natasha, which means we can do this. I made it pretty unsubtle that this guy's recruitable, but I like to think the game makes it pretty clear you need to talk to him with Natasha. Unfortunately, you're not talking to someone from Grado. This guy's just a random mercenary. I don't think that information means much to him. And recruitment theme, you know what that means. And yes, he based who he's following entirely off a coin toss. And get behind him she shall, because he's going to take care of these fools over here. This is Joshua. My headcanon is that Joshua rigged that coin toss with Natasha. This guy has a lot of hidden depths to him, but let's put that aside for now and talk about his stats. Joshua is our first Myrmidon, and he's a fairly typical one at that, excelling in skill and speed, and mostly relying on critical hits to deal damage. Although Joshua's base strength of 8 is actually quite good for a Myrmidon, and even though his growth in strength is a bit unreliable, that base carries him for quite a while. Speaking of bases, his skill and speed bases are pretty crazy by the standards of level 5, especially at this point in the game. There's not much he can't double. He also has very good HP for a Myrmidon. And speaking of other things that are atypical, his luck is, as you'd expect from a gambler, not that great. So he can't rely on dodging as much as other Swordmasters would. He does make up for that to an extent by his higher HP. He's also got decent constitution for a sword user. It lets him use most of the things he needs to without much penalty. Joshua got a slight buff to his strength growth in the English version. It went from 30% to 35%. Seeing as getting a few more points of strength definitely helps him out, this is a pretty nice buff. His strength still isn't amazing, but it's enough to kill most things with criticals. Joshua's promotion options are Swordmaster and Assassin. Overall, these aren't too different in their role, but I slightly prefer Swordmaster, as it gives a higher strength cap. Now, while Joshua's probably not going to reach it, he's definitely capable of going above 20, so Assassin does hamper him a bit in that department. It also gives higher constitution and a really big +5 boost to HP, which makes Joshua one of the few Swordmasters out there who's likely to cap his HP. Something you typically only see on warriors and generals. It also has a constant boost to your crit rate, which is always fun. Assassin, on the other hand, is inferior in terms of raw stats apart from resistance. If you're going for this class, you're really doing it for the silencer skill. And admittedly, the prospect of instant death is tempting. It's not really all that reliable though. I kind of prefer more consistent normal criticals as opposed to Assassin's chance of instant kills. It also lets him use lockpicks, so if you need another lockpick user, then I guess you can promote him to Assassin, but I find usually Colum and the other thief we get later is more than enough. Both options are viable, but I personally like Swordmaster's slightly better stats. Of course, no matter which option you choose, you'll have no shortage of really cool critical animations. And it just so happens that Joshua is pretty well suited to fighting the enemies that we see here. So, he pretty much shreds axe users, and they have pretty much no chance of hitting him at all. And he's gonna need to fight the bottom one if he wants to protect Natasha. Come on, crit. Ah, that's annoying. I haven't been lucky with Joshua's crits lately. In my practice run, he crit every single fight he did, like for the first 3 fights, but, well, I guess that makes me a lot like Joshua. I'm just not having any luck lately. Something I want to mention about Joshua here, though, is I feel like the game makes it relatively obvious that you need to talk to him with Natasha. And that's something that I want to bring up, is that back when I played Awakening, so Gaius was very obvious to me. He says that he regrets what the people he's fighting for are doing, and he's an enemy with a unique portrait, and the general rule in Fire Emblem games is, when in doubt, talk to them with your main lord. So, he was pretty obvious. I've heard that a lot of first-time Fire Emblem fans who started with Awakening ended up killing Gaius, because they had no idea he was recruitable, and the game never really explicitly tells you that you can recruit enemies at any point. So I kind of wonder if they could have done that tutorial a bit better in Awakening. They could have actually made it a bit more clear. Because if that many people are killing a recruitable character like that... Anyway, that's enough of that tangent. Time for another tangent, because the moment this guy mentioned Renown, I think of that system that's in the newer games. In my youth, I was a knight of some renown. I got all of the achievements in Shadows of Valentia, including the really annoying ones. It only required me to grind for 60 years of my life. I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry. So, from that village, we get a secret book, which contains... yeah, it raises skill by 2 points, which I find one of the least useful of the stat-boosting items, because, yeah, skill is definitely not the most important stat in Fire Emblem. It's probably, in my opinion, next to luck, the second least most important. Yeah, that's kind of a mouthful, but yeah. In general, skill is only that big of an issue if you have really low skill, or you're playing FE6 where axes have such a horrible hit rate. And I'm just going to show this shop here. It's nothing special. They don't sell anything really that important, just basic fire, light, and healing. The armory, though, has a bit of a better stock on it. And I will talk about another building that's in this chapter, but that'll be for the very end. Should mention this is a defeat boss map, so by killing the boss you can end this. There's the critical. I love Myrmidon and Swordmaster GBA criticals. They just look so awesome. But yeah, you can end this by killing the boss, but I like to kill all the enemies just for the experience. Yeah, that axe guy had hit before. Okay, that's unfortunate. It shouldn't be too bad, though. There are actually more reinforcements coming. And yeah, now you're seeing when pirates use axes in close range, they have 2 axes for some reason, even though it doesn't really change much. Yeah, even if Ross... You know what? I'm going to use the hatchet. So much for the double axe animation. Also, so much for me ever showing Ross's journeyman melee axe animation, because, never got to show that. I might show it eventually, though. And let's secure the final village. There are actually more bandit reinforcements, but they don't have a job to do anymore. And, yet again, a unique character portrait cameo. I really do like this, though. The GBA games did this a lot. You often get cameos from people who you might be meeting later, let's just say. Just in villages or other things like that. And no matter who you send to this village, they always say the same line. She forgot something. Miss, you might want to... There, she's gone. I guess, finders keepers, we get this torch. And the torch is, well, it's an item for Fog of War, and there's no Fog of War here, so obviously we can't use it yet. I'm gonna have you get to work healing Joshua, because I want these two to spend as much time standing next to each other as they possibly can. Because yes, they do have supports, and they're amazing. I love these two together so much, and that's part of the reason why I'm going to be using Natasha. Unnecessary crit, obviously, but it still looks awesome. Ironically, Joshua gained luck. Maybe things are turning around for him. Okay, yeah, that guy's going to go after Ross, and that means I don't really need Vanessa for anything else here. Might send Franz over here just so that he can potentially get healed later. Because I do want to wait for those reinforcements and kill them for experience. Loot still hasn't hit level 5 yet, so... In fact, I'd like to have Loot kill that guy as well. Might as well do this. Natasha will have to get away from Joshua in order to heal Loot, and I don't want her to be doing that at all. Hello there, stupid generic soldier. You are going to die. Thank you. Now speed? Defense is not that bad. His strength is only 5 points off max, by the way. Yeah, that's pretty hilarious. At least he's hitting hard. Okay, yeah, one of you is going to attack Joshua immediately and probably get slaughtered. Actually... I'm sure Loot will survive one hit from them. This is going to look very, very silly, but... I want Loot to get... I want her to be at least level 5. So... she is going to just spend some time here. And while we're waiting for these reinforcements to die, I could probably talk about the elephant in the room here. Which, yes, I will be showing. And I will be showing with Seth, obviously. Even though he's actually not... He's not completely foolproof here. Yeah, they might both go after Erica if she goes up there. I'll just have Erica go, like, here. Oh, right! I do need Vanessa to do something. You are getting that Armor Slayer. Even though it does weigh him down a little bit, it still shreds this boss, and I just find it quite fun to do that to this boss, obviously. And you missed anyway. You might not actually double. No, you did not. That's actually quite bad. I'm gonna have to do something silly now. 50 hit rate. And it still hits. And he leveled up after that. Huh. And that was terrible, but oh well. I'm used to seeing that kind of level up from Echoes. I still love the comments the characters have on bad level ups in that game. Well, she's almost level 5. Okay, I am going to try and get this guy to attack Erica and go into a position where Luke can finish and get to level 5. Meanwhile, Joshua will be approaching where the boss is, and Natasha will be staying next to him because supports. And heal him. You only get supports for standing next to characters in this game. Healing won't give you any extra support points, so you don't need to worry about spamming staves on people you want other people to marry. Well, I suppose now's as good a time as any to talk about the arena and how it works. Seth has 1 less HP than his max, though. So, you go into the arena at whatever HP you had on the field, and if you get damage in the arena, it will carry over to the field. So in the arena, 680 gold, you can generally get an idea of how strong the opponent is by how big the wager is. If it's high, you want to be careful. I'll just show this, though. Valkyrie, okay then. Magic user. This could be bad or it could be good, depending on how high speed you have. Oh, you aren't doing much damage at all. So yeah, once you get into the arena, you will fight. You can press the B button to yield if you think things are going badly, which they could easily go badly if this... Oh, don't miss Seth, please. Thank you, okay. That almost ended very badly. So, in the arena, you get experience, and if you win, you get gold. So, this is a pretty good method of, obviously, grinding experience and gold. Now, in FE7, and 6, by the way, as well, this was your only real way of grinding in the game, and as such, the chapters that had arenas in them were infamous for what's known in the fandom as arena abuse, just going into the arena and spamming fights until you massively power level everyone. Or get really unlucky and die. The arena will sometimes throw really stupidly powerful enemies at you that you really can't beat, but as long as you know when to yield, you usually won't have anyone die there. Because if someone dies in the arena, they are dead for good. Just like normal battles. And if you yield, you do lose your wager. What the? That was the weirdest loot level up ever. But yes, you do lose your wager if you lose in the arena, obviously. And like I said, you come out of the arena at the same HP that you left the fight at. So if there are any more enemies around, that would have been very dangerous for Seth. You also go in at the same HP you had, so don't send someone in there without healing. I may have accidentally done that in a practice attempt and it ended very horribly. Now, if you're playing the same version of the game that I am, you can also cheese the arena by doing this. I'm obviously not going to do that, though, because that's kind of cheap. In general, though, I don't think arenas are that important in Sacred Stones. In fact, there are only 2 chapters in the game that have arenas, and you can't access arenas from the world map like you can shops and armories. You can only access them within the chapters themselves, and this, yeah, because there are only 2 chapters in the game that have them, this is already half the arenas in the game. This shop sells some pretty decent weapons. I kind of like buying a steel sword from it, because we haven't seen any of those yet. Yeah, send it to storage. Ross can't use it anyway. And that's pretty much our entire arena winnings spent there. So really, they're only useful in Sacred Stones for grinding gold, but you don't really need to. Sacred Stones has skirmishes and a certain other method of grinding, so I feel like it's safer to just use those than it is to use the arena. I generally don't find the arena that important in Sacred Stones overall, but it's there if you want to use it. So, as much as loot is pretty effective at killing this guy, I like the poetic justice of having Joshua do it. And yeah, just to show how much the armor slayer completely rips him apart, even with weapon triangle disadvantage. So, hello there, Sar. That villager told us to strike you down with this sword. So let's do it. And no more boss. This guy is pretty much a joke if you use the Armor Slayer, or if you use loot, or... Ah! That's fine. Or any magic user, or... Really, that guy is just a joke in general. He doesn't even move. So, with the battle over, she is now going to explain what it was that was so important that she was going to tell us. That's funny, canonically Erica and Seth didn't even know her name before now. Arresting and executing random people. Yeah, that's definitely a sign that a country's going downhill. He's destroying the title drop, that can't be good. We heard earlier that those are the only things that are keeping the monsters at bay. So, we now might have some kind of correlation as to why they've suddenly appeared all over the world. But what would anyone possibly have to gain from doing this? I suppose we'll find out later. And we know the rest. And this line is pretty ironic considering that Natasha is one of Seth's romance options. And this is a bonus scene that you only get if you saved all of the villagers. This is your extra reward for that. I like how this game has some bonus objectives in some of the chapters. It's pretty cool like that. I wish more Fire Emblem games would do that. That might be the first mention we've heard of Leon as well. Or Leon. Yeah, I'm gonna have to correct myself because I'll explain that later. But we've done everything we can. We saved them from bandits, and we've driven out that tyrant who ruled the town. Yes, I'm sure that day will arrive one day. And for that, we get our reward, a guiding ring. This promotes magic users. So, that's that chapter. It's definitely one of my favorites overall. Next time, we're gonna have something completely different.